The film begins with Walter Mitty, a negative assets manager at Life magazine, sitting at his computer that early morning. He's on a dating site trying to match with a coworker he has a crush on. He keeps clicking the button to send her a wink, but the site won't respond to his request. Frustrated, he looks at the time and realizes he needs to leave his apartment before he's late for work. At the train station, Walter pulls out his phone and calls the dating site's customer care to complain about their service. As he's on hold, listening to the automated messages, he suddenly falls into a fantasy. In his mind, he sees a building exploding behind him. He imagines himself heroically rescuing Cheryl's dog running through flames and emerging as a hero while she watches in admiration. Soon, he snaps back into reality, but the train has already left. He sighs, frustrated with himself. Later, Walter arrives at work. At the office, Walter is often overlooked because of how shy and soft-spoken he is. People walk past him without acknowledging him. Soon, he sees Cheryl walking through the office and begins to fall into another fantasy. In this daydream, he sees himself as a confident suave man introducing himself to her with charm and wit. Cheryl flirts back with him, clearly interested. Meanwhile, back in reality, his coworkers notice him standing there zoning out, staring at nothing. Ted, one of his bosses, throws something at him to snap him back to reality. Walter jerks back to the present, embarrassed. He quickly retreats down to the basement where he works with Hernando, his coworker. Suddenly, they're called upstairs for an emergency meeting. All the employees gather in the main office. One of the bosses stands before them and delivers shocking news. This month's cover will be the last for the company. Life magazine is transitioning to online only. The room falls silent, as people look devastated. Ted, a corporate efficiency expert overseeing the transition, tries to sound encouraging. He tells the employees they should work on making the best cover for the month since it's their last month on the job. Walter sees Cheryl across the room looking stressed and upset about the recent news. He takes a deep breath and approaches her. He finally introduces himself properly and asks her if she has an address for Sean O'Connell, the legendary photographer. Sean sent him a mysterious negative labeled number 25, the photo that's supposed to be the final cover image for the magazine's last print issue, but the negative is missing from the package. Cheryl tells him that she doesn't have Sean's address off the top of her head, but she promises to check in her computer systems later and see what she can find. Later that day, during lunch, Cheryl approaches Walter outside. She tells him that she'll have Sean's address by the end of the day. Then she sits down beside him and offers to help find Sean by looking for clues in the pictures that he sent. She tells Walter he should look at the details, really study where Sean shot the photos, as there are always clues. She then gets up to leave and go back to the office. Later that afternoon, Walter is called away from work. He has to help his mother move out of her apartment with his sister Odessa. They spend hours packing boxes and loading furniture. His sister makes passive-aggressive comments about his boring life, and his mother worries about him being alone. Later, Walter rushes back to work. Hernando is waiting for him and hands him another picture that arrived from Sean. When Walter looks at it closely, he sees clues embedded in the image, specific details that might indicate where Sean might be. Walter walks upstairs and finds Cheryl. He shows her the photo and they huddle together, trying to decipher where the location might be. They examine every detail, the landscape, the architecture, and the lighting. Suddenly, Cheryl gets a text from her son asking her to pick him up from the skate park. She looks at Walter and asks if he'd like to accompany her while they continue trying to decipher the location, and Walter eagerly agrees. Later, at the park, Walter meets Cheryl's son Rich for the first time. He notices the boy has a skateboard and mentions that he used to skate in his youth. He shows him a few basic skating tricks, demonstrating moves he hasn't done in years, and Rich is genuinely impressed. As they leave, Cheryl tells Walter that she finally found Sean's location in the database. He's in Greenland. Walter stops walking, shocked at how far away that is. That means he'd have to actually travel there, something he's never done before, as he's barely left New York. Walter falls into another fantasy. In his mind, Cheryl tells him excitedly that they should go to Greenland together. She leans in and kisses him. They're wrapped in each other's arms, about to embark on an adventure together, but then reality crashes back. It's just a fairy tale in his head. Later, Walter leaves his office building and heads straight to the airport, going to Greenland. For the first time in his life, he's going to do something spontaneous, something brave. In the plane, the flight is long, and Walter barely sleeps, nervous energy keeping him awake. He eventually arrives in Greenland and the cold air hits him immediately. He rents a car and drives down the quiet roads through a small coastal town. He stops at a local bar and walks inside. The warmth and noise envelop him. He approaches the bar and asks the lady working there whether they can send or receive mail in this town. The lady nods and says yes, they send any mail every Tuesday with a supply ship that comes through. Walter realizes it's the same ship he saw in the background of one of Sean's photos. Suddenly, a drunk man stumbles over and approaches Walter. He starts bullying him, making fun of his American accent and his nervous demeanor, but then Walter notices something, the ring on the man's thumb. He remembers seeing a finger wearing that exact ring in one of the pictures Sean sent. Walter sits the man down carefully and asks him about Sean O'Connell. The man replies, telling him that he knows Sean. He flew Sean out on Tuesday in his helicopter, as he even took a picture of his finger, just like Walter said. The man offers enthusiastically to help Walter look for Sean right now. But Walter refuses politely, seeing how drunk and unsteady the man is. Suddenly, Walter falls into another elaborate fantasy. In his mind, Cheryl appears in the bar, walking onto a small stage. She begins performing a song dedicated to him, singing about adventure and taking chances. She leads him outside where the drunk helicopter pilot is waiting, now sober and heroic looking. Cheryl sings to Walter, encouraging him to go on the adventure, to seek Sean, to finally live his life. In reality, Walter jumps into the helicopter. They fly away over the stunning Greenland landscape and fly over the sea toward the only ship visible on the horizon. The pilot shouts over the roar of the rotors that he can't land his helicopter on the ship. Walter has to jump. Walter looks down at the deck far below and jumps, but he miscalculates and falls into the freezing sea instead. The people on the ship see him floundering in the water. They quickly send a smaller rescue boat over the side, and strong hands pull him out of the water, gasping and shivering. Later, wrapped in blankets and still shaking from the cold, the ship's captain approaches Walter. He tells him that they took Sean to Iceland just a few hours ago and Walter's heart sinks, he's missed him again. They give Walter dry clothes to wear and one of the crew members mentions casually that Sean told them he was heading to a volcano site tomorrow for a shoot. Walter immediately asks them to please drop him off at Iceland. He's got important things he needs to discuss with Sean. The guy looks at this strange desperate American man and slowly nods. The next day, Walter is dropped off on the coast of Iceland. The crew gives him rough directions to the volcano site where Sean was supposedly headed. Walter then spots a bicycle and runs over and steals the bike. He pedals as fast as he can down the coastal road, his legs burning. Later, as he's riding, his phone rings. It's the agent from the dating site's customer service, finally calling him back about his complaint from days ago. Walter answers, and tells him he'll have to call back later, he's on his way to a volcano. Soon, as Walter rides along the dramatic Icelandic landscape, he starts daydreaming again. He sees birds flying overhead, their formation creating Cheryl's face in the sky, smiling down at him. He's so distracted by the vision that he doesn't see the curve in the road. He crashes hard, tumbling down onto the side of the road. He groans, gets up, checks himself for injuries, and then starts running on foot as fast as he can. He reaches a small group of teenagers hanging out, and frantically tries to ask them for directions to the volcano, but they don't understand English. Walter looks at the kid's skateboard, then reaches into his bag and pulls out a childhood toy he's been carrying, something precious from his youth. He offers to trade it for the skateboard and the kid accepts. Soon, he walks into a small hotel and calls out, but it's empty. When he reaches the back of the building, he finds the owner frantically packing things into his truck. He tells Walter that the volcano is about to have a major eruption. Everyone must evacuate immediately. When Walter desperately asks about Sean, the owner pauses just long enough to point in a direction and give him quick directions to where he last saw the photographer. Walter thanks him and rushes off before the volcano erupts. Walter skates frantically toward the location, pushing harder than he's ever pushed in his life. He arrives at a small town just beyond a ridge. Suddenly, a loud alarm goes off, a warning siren echoing across the valley. The hotel owner's car comes speeding up behind him. He leans out the window and shouts at Walter to get in as the volcano is about to erupt. Walter quickly jumps in and they speed away from the town. Behind them, they can see toxic ash and fumes beginning to pour from the volcano. They race through narrow roads, trying to avoid the spreading cloud of poisonous gas. Later, after they've escaped the danger zone, the hotel manager drops Walter off on the side of a main road. He pulls out his phone and calls Cheryl. When she answers, he tells her breathlessly that he's in Iceland, that he's been tracking Sean across the country. He reads her the locations Sean wrote down on an old weathered piece of paper he found. Cheryl tries looking up the locations on her computer but can't seem to find anything matching them on the internet. Walter tells Cheryl that he'll tell her about all his adventures when he sees her in person, and ends the call. A few days later, Walter flies back to New York, exhausted and empty-handed. When he arrives at the Life magazine office, Ted immediately approaches him and demands the picture, but Walter tells him quietly that he couldn't find Sean, meaning he doesn't have the photo. Ted fires Walter on the spot and walks away without another word. Later, Walter decides to go see Cheryl. He arrives at her apartment building and knocks nervously, but a man opens the door and Walter is taken aback. He stammers that he needs to speak with Cheryl regarding work and the man goes to call her. Walter's heart sinks. Before Cheryl can reach the door, Walter pulls out Rich's skateboard and leaves it on the side of the door and leaves, heartbroken that Cheryl has a boyfriend. Later, he arrives back at his small apartment to find his family there. The apartment feels even more crowded and suffocating than before. Walter collapses onto his sofa, feeling defeated. As he sits there, he pulls out one of Sean's photos. He picks it up and looks at it closely for the first time. He realizes it's a photo of a piano, his mother's exact piano. Walter asks his mother urgently whether someone took a photo of her piano recently. His mother tells him casually that yes, she did, with Sean's camera, as Sean came to visit last week. Walter asks desperately why she never told him. His mother smiles sadly and says she did tell him, but he was daydreaming at the time, staring off into space. She then adds that Sean mentioned he was heading to Afghanistan next. A few days later, Walter arrives in Afghanistan. He's accompanied by 2 local guides through the Rocky Mountains. They trek through deep snow, the altitude making it hard to breathe. Later, the 2 guides stop and point ahead, giving Walter final directions. They're going their separate ways now and Walter will have to continue alone. He thanks them and continues his journey alone. Finally, Walter sees a figure. It's Sean, unmistakable with his cameras and weathered face. Sean looks up and is genuinely shocked to see Walter standing there. He asks how Walter managed to get all the way up these mountains. The man only lives in his head, always daydreaming. Walter breathlessly tells Sean that he lost an important picture that Sean sent, negative number 25, the one meant for the final magazine cover. Sean nods slowly and tells him it's in the wallet he gifted him. Walter's face falls, as he remembers now, he threw that wallet away in frustration when everything was going wrong. Sean looks disappointed to hear that. Suddenly, Sean freezes and raises his camera. He gestures silently for Walter to look. Through Sean's viewfinder, Walter sees a rare snow leopard moving gracefully across a distant ridge, one of the most elusive animals on Earth. Walter whispers urgently, asking why Sean doesn't take the picture. He tells Walter quietly that sometimes he doesn't take pictures of rare beautiful things. Sometimes he just likes to appreciate them and stay in the moment. Later, Sean climbs down from their vantage point and joins a group of local villagers playing football in a cleared patch of dirt. He waves for Walter to join them, and Walter hesitates, then runs down and joins the game. He plays and for the first time in his entire life, Walter is fully present. He doesn't daydream even once. A couple of days later, Walter is back in the United States. His mother meets him at his apartment and hands him Sean's wallet that he'd thrown away. Walter opens it with trembling hands and searches for the photo Sean mentioned, and there it is, negative number 25, tucked safely inside. Walter immediately goes back to his old office. He finds Ted and hands him the photo without a word. Later, Walter sits at his computer and updates his online dating profile. Under interests and experiences, he adds that he's traveled internationally, Iceland, Greenland, and Afghanistan. It feels strange but true to write it. He then sees an email notification from Rich, Cheryl's son. Rich is thanking him profusely for the skateboard and has attached a video of himself skating, landing the tricks Walter showed him. Walter smiles, genuinely happy. The next day, after receiving his severance package at the Life magazine office one last time, Walter sees Cheryl heading out. He stops her before she can leave, and tells her about his entire adventure, about chasing Sean across continents, about the volcano, and about the snow leopard. He admits that through everything, he kept daydreaming about her. And in every daydream, she was the one encouraging him to live more, to take chances, to stop being afraid. Cheryl smiles, her eyes warm. Walter then mentions awkwardly that he saw her boyfriend at her apartment when he dropped off the skateboard. Cheryl laughs and assures him that man wasn't her boyfriend, he was just there fixing her refrigerator. Relief floods through Walter. He smiles and asks her out on a date and Cheryl agrees to go. As they walk away together down the New York street, they pass a newsstand. Walter stops suddenly. There on display is the final print issue of Life magazine. It's a photo of Walter himself, taken by Sean, probably when Walter wasn't looking. Walter and Cheryl stand there staring at the cover, shocked. Walter Mitty, the man who lived in daydreams, has become the face of Life magazine's final issue. They look at each other and smile, then walk off together into the city, ready for whatever adventure comes next. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe for more notifications. Until next time. See you soon.